Stop scrolling for a second and listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will change the way you see yourself forever. Most women spend their entire lives trying to look beautiful, trying to impress people, trying to follow trends, trying to chase validation, and yet they never truly shine. They never glow. They never feel that magnetic energy that turns heads, makes people respect them, and makes them unforgettable. And the reason is shocking, because beauty isn't about makeup. It isn't about expensive clothes. It isn't about your face or your body. If you haven't been told this before, it's time you hear it now. Real beauty is built from the inside out, in the habits you practice every single day, the choices you make in private, and the energy you carry without even trying. The woman who glows effortlessly isn't doing it for Instagram likes, for compliments, or for anyone else. She's doing it because she respects herself. She controls her emotions. She moves through life with intention. She knows when to speak and when to stay silent, and she protects her energy like a rare treasure, and that is what makes her magnetic. Today I'm going to reveal to you the exact habits that turn ordinary women into unforgettable women, the habits that nobody talks about, the habits that will make you glow from your soul, not just your skin. If you watch this video until the very end, you will understand the hidden secrets of feminine power, confidence, and beauty, secrets that could completely change the way you show up in the world. So stay with me, because after this video, you will never look at beauty the same way again. Let's start with the truth most people avoid because it makes them uncomfortable. Self-respect is not a personality trait. It is not something you're born with. It is a habit, a daily decision, a private standard you keep even when no one is watching. And if a woman is missing self-respect, it doesn't matter how beautiful her face is, how expensive her clothes are, or how perfect her body looks. People will sense something is off, because beauty without self-respect doesn't feel powerful. It feels fragile, and fragile beauty is easy to ignore. Here's what most women don't understand. The world doesn't treat you based on what you deserve. The world treats you based on what you tolerate. That's not a motivational quote. That's psychology. Human beings are constantly scanning for boundaries. They test them. They push them, not always because they're evil, but because that's how people operate. And when a woman consistently tolerates disrespect, she teaches others a lesson. She teaches them that her value is negotiable. And once your value becomes negotiable, you lose something deeper than attraction. You lose presence. Self-respect is what gives a woman presence. It's the way she speaks when she's not trying to impress anyone. It's the way she says no without feeling guilty. It's the way she walks away without explaining herself for 20 minutes. It's the way she doesn't beg someone to stay in her life when they clearly don't know how to treat her. That is not arrogance, that is dignity. And dignity is one of the most beautiful things a human being can carry, because when you respect yourself, you stop chasing what doesn't want you. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into places you were never meant to belong. You stop sacrificing your peace just to keep someone comfortable. And the moment a woman stops doing those things, she becomes magnetic. Not because she is trying to be mysterious, but because she has something rare. She has standards, and standards are attractive. Think about it. Why do people value diamonds? It's not because they're soft, it's because they're rare. They are difficult to find. They are difficult to replace. Self-respect works the same way. When a woman carries herself like she is not easily available to disrespect, she becomes rare in a world full of desperation. And desperation is the enemy of beauty. Desperation shows up in the smallest ways. It shows up when you laugh at jokes that hurt you just to avoid conflict. It shows up when you reply immediately to someone who barely replies to you. It shows up when you forgive the same behavior over and over again, not because you're kind, but because you're afraid to be alone. It shows up when you lower your standards and call it understanding. It shows up when you accept breadcrumbs and convince yourself it's love. But self-respect doesn't do that. Self-respect says, I'd rather be alone than be treated like an option. And the world doesn't expect that from most women. The world expects women to chase, to overgive, to overexplain, to overcompensate, to prove they're worthy. But the woman with self-respect doesn't prove anything. She observes, she evaluates, she decides. She doesn't throw her heart in the hands of someone who hasn't shown the maturity to carry it. And that kind of woman becomes beautiful, even before she speaks. Because self-respect changes your energy. It changes your body language. It changes the way your eyes look. It changes your voice. You start speaking slower, not because you're trying to sound confident, but because you're no longer nervous about losing people. You start standing straighter, not because you're pretending to be powerful, but because you're no longer carrying the weight of everyone else's approval. And that's when something incredible happens. People start treating you differently, not because they suddenly became better people, but because you gave them a new set of instructions. You taught them how to approach you. You taught them what is allowed and what is not. And that is the real secret behind why self-respect makes a woman more beautiful. It creates structure. It creates boundaries. It creates a clear signal to the world that says, you don't get access to me unless you come correctly. And here's the part that might challenge some people. Self-respect is not loud. It's not shouting. It's not insulting people. It's not posting angry quotes online. It's not trying to prove you're strong. That's insecurity disguised as confidence. Real self-respect is quiet. It's calm. It doesn't argue. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It simply removes itself. That's why self-respect is terrifying to people who manipulate. Because manipulation requires emotional access. It requires you to doubt yourself. It requires you to stay available. And a woman with self-respect is hard to manipulate because she doesn't need to win the argument. She doesn't need closure. She doesn't need validation. She needs peace. And peace is expensive. Most people can't afford it because they keep paying for it with their dignity. But a woman with self-respect understands something deeper. She understands that her life is not a marketplace where everyone can bargain for her attention. She is not here to be liked by everyone. She is not here to be chosen by everyone. She is here to choose herself first. And that mindset changes everything. Because the moment a woman chooses herself, she stops allowing emotional chaos into her life. She stops giving her energy to people who drain her. She stops confusing attachment with love. She stops confusing attention with commitment. She stops confusing physical attraction with emotional safety, and that's maturity. That's intelligence. That's the kind of beauty that doesn't fade with time. You see, physical beauty is temporary. It changes, it fades, it evolves. That's just life. But self-respect is timeless. A woman with self-respect looks beautiful at 20, beautiful at 30, beautiful at 40, beautiful at 60, because her beauty isn't coming from her skin. It's coming from her spirit, her stability, her character, the way she carries herself like she has nothing to prove, and that is rare. Now, some people hear this and they think self-respect means being cold. No. Self-respect does not make you cold. It makes you clear. It doesn't stop you from loving. It stops you from losing yourself while loving. It doesn't stop you from being kind. It stops you from being used. It doesn't stop you from being soft. It stops you from being foolish. And that's the balance every woman needs to master. Because the truth is, beauty is not just about attraction. Beauty is also about how safe people feel around you, how stable you are, how much you respect yourself. Because if you don't respect yourself, you will always be negotiating your worth. You will always be questioning your value. You will always be searching for someone to confirm what you should already know. And that is exhausting. But when you respect yourself, you become steady. You become grounded. You become emotionally strong without becoming emotionally hard. You become feminine without becoming fragile. You become confident without becoming arrogant. And the world notices, not because you demand respect, but because you embody it. So if you want to become more beautiful, don't start with makeup. Don't start with clothes. Don't start with filters. Start with your standards. Start with your boundaries. Start with your ability to walk away from what disrespects you, because the most attractive thing a woman can ever wear is not lipstick. It's self-respect. And here's the closing truth you should carry with you. The moment you stop begging to be valued, you become valuable. That is where beauty begins. Now let's go deeper, because this is where real transformation happens. If self-respect is the foundation of beauty, then emotional discipline is the structure that holds it together. And most people don't understand this. They think beauty is physical. They think beauty is about symmetry, skin, hair, makeup, fashion. But what they don't realize is that the most attractive part of a woman is not her face. It's her emotional stability. It's her ability to stay calm when life tries to shake her. And I know that might sound strange at first, but think about it carefully. Have you ever met someone who was physically attractive, but the moment they started speaking, the attraction disappeared? The constant complaining, the jealousy, the insecurity, the need for attention, the emotional chaos. Suddenly they didn't seem beautiful anymore. Not because their appearance changed, but because their energy did. Their emotions made them feel heavy. That's the truth people avoid saying out loud. Emotional discipline is not just about being mature, it's about becoming the kind of woman whose presence feels peaceful, and peace is rare, peace is seductive, peace is magnetic, because the world is already loud, stressful, unpredictable, and exhausting. People are naturally drawn to what feels stable. Emotional discipline does not mean you don't feel emotions. That's not strength. That's suppression. Emotional discipline means you feel everything, but you don't let everything control you. You don't allow every mood, every message, every opinion, every disappointment to hijack your entire identity. Because a woman who is controlled by her emotions becomes predictable, and predictability kills attraction. Not because people want drama, but because emotional instability makes you unsafe. It makes people walk on eggshells around you. They never know which version of you they're going to get. And over time, that kind of energy destroys beauty. It doesn't just destroy relationships, it destroys the way you carry yourself. It destroys your glow. It destroys your femininity. It destroys your ability to think clearly. It even affects your physical appearance. Your face becomes tense. Your eyes become tired. Your voice becomes sharp. Your body holds stress like a burden. This is not opinion. This is biology. Stress hormones don't just damage your mental health. They show up on your skin. They show up in your sleep. They show up in your weight. They show up in your posture. When a woman is emotionally chaotic, her body reflects that chaos.